We're on the road again. Follow us as we travel around the northeastern parts of the wheat belt area of Western Australia. We meet some amazing people with interesting stories and have a look at a bit of the history of the region. We stay in some amazing campsites. We go from freezing our backsides off to sweating the same backsides off in the heat, then get sent packing as a wild storm approaches. We stumble across a private collection of artefacts and go to some amazing museums. And disaster strikes that almost finishes some of the group members' holidays before it starts. So come with us now as we ride the Wheatbelt Way. G'day folks, how you going? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then a special g'day to you. We're about halfway through my current series of Wheatbelt Way, and the last couple of videos we had a look at some bush camps we stayed in. They were absolutely amazing. This week we're heading off to a town and we're going to stay in a caravan park because my weary passengers, my weary travellers, not my passengers, are in a bit of a need for a shower. So we're going to go to a caravan park. Anyway, let's get started and let's find out what we have this week. We just spent a great couple of nights at the Alec-Booton Rock, and now we're heading to Westonia for a couple of nights in the caravan park. Well, so we thought. You see, something I didn't consider just hit me like a bomb going off. Our supplies are starting to run a little low, and it's time to hit a supermarket, which we were going to do in Westonia. Here comes the bombshell. It's Saturday, and the supermarket will close at 11 AM, and it won't open again on Sunday. With a quick recalculation, we worked out that we could get to Muckenbooten by 11:30, and the supermarket only closes at 12. That was close. So change course and all ahead full to Muckenbooten. Now this kind of art I can understand. 4 glass on a wire fence. Once again, there's not a lot of information on Muckenbooten. The only thing I could find was in the 1870s, pastoralists came out here and settled. In 1910, the town was established, and in 2011, there was a big storm that came through here with big hailstorms and some local flooding. The rower line doesn't, again, have passages coming through here. But it's obviously still used because the wheat and the grain is obviously still carted out here. You can see that by just looking at the tracks. After getting our shopping, we had lunch at a little cafe in town, and I've got to say, they made a pretty good burger. Then it was off to Westonia. We're going to spend the next couple of nights here in Westonia Caravan Park. I may do a separate video on this caravan park later. It's a nice little spot, but main street of town's pretty interesting, so we're going to do a walk down there and we'll have a look around. Westonia is about 4.5 hours drive east of Perth. It's right on the edge where the wheat belt meets the goldfields. The town came into existence in 1910 when a sandalwood cutter and part-time prospector discovered gold around here in 1910. Originally the town was called Weston's Reward. By 1917 the town was known as Westonia and had a population of more than 2,000 people. Although the town started in 1910, you walk down here today and it looks like it's just been built. You know, it wouldn't look out of place to have horse and carts going down the street today. And this is because a few years ago the Wolfram Street facade project, where they sort of rebuilt some of the buildings back to look like it was back in 1920. When I walked in the door, I thought that was a real person, and I thought, gee, they're early for the bar around here. The fella at the front, the real one, not the mannequin, was telling me that when they set up the museum, they wanted you to get a real feeling of the time period. So that instead of using old shop dummies, they spent a lot of money getting realistic looking mannequins. By today's standards, you might think that the way people lived back then was pretty basic or even primitive. But in the day, that was normal or even luxury for them. And who could forget the personal service that every customer got when shopping? If you wanted mince, then you could make it yourself with one of these. The kitchen was a place where your meal was prepared and where you sat and ate it. Hey, we've seen this bowl earlier in this series. How many people's mothers had one of these? The old Victor mower, invented in Australia. When you look around at the detail in the old buildings and furniture, they were all made by hand with tools like these hanging on the wall. These days, farmers would put ear tags in the cattle to identify what is theirs. But in the past, they would heat these Brandon irons up and burn it into the backside of the cattle. Ouch! Hey, was this me in a past life? This place is amazing. You've got to come and have a look if you're in the area. After shearing the sheep, the wool was pressed in these bags for transport. Who remembers the controversy when the Kiwis brought in the wide combs? Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about. Toys of the day were simple and would last forever. The word processor of the 1800s. The wireless of the 1800s and the record players. No, not CDs. This was your nightly entertainment before TV. I remember this school desk when I was at school. If you ever wondered what it was like to be underground in a mine when they blast a new section, then this is the place to be. The floor even shakes. Let's listen in to a small part of it.
Dance all on Saturday night, Squeaker.
Yeah, there's magic in the soles of these feet, mate. I'm poetry in motion, I am.
I'm sure you are, Squeaker.
Alright, take it away, Lofty.
Okay. Are you gonna come stand on here?
Shit, Lofty, you packing it with air again? We only got fluff out of that one.
Alright, O'Reilly, I could easily pack it somewhere else if you don't watch out. I'll just relight my lamp and we'll have another crack at it.
That's
much better if you could just blow the pieces to the surface for us as well.
Lazy little sod, aren't you?
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems
Not only has the front of the buildings had work done to it,
we can see
throughout the main street there are a number of artefacts from mining to farming.
it's all
Everywhere you look there is something else to see.
we meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go.
I've said it a million times on this channel that I'm not into art, but this is different. The simple and cheap use of corrugated iron and painting a rustic picture on it just works perfectly throughout the town. We'd spent a good couple of hours wandering around town taking it all in. It was getting close to lunchtime, so we decided to check out the only food place in town that was open and get some lunch. We were soon to find out this was a good move.
Meant to be in the great outdoors.
Okay, going to tell you a little story. While we were going around town filming, I was outside filming up and down the street. Family had gone into the cafe to get some lunch, and while we were in there, another customer came up to one of the kids and asked what the story was of all the cameras we had, and she explained to her about the YouTube channel and what we do and all that sort of thing, you know. We got our lunch and then we went out around the corner to a park where my grandson could be able to play around in the park while we had lunch. And this woman showed up again and started telling us a story about her dad. And it was really interesting, and I hope I get the details of this somewhat kind of right, but if it's not quite right, bear with me. The basic guts of it is in there anyway. The town was getting pretty desperate. People had moved away. There was nothing really much there apart from the mine, and the town was probably a few weeks or so away from closing down. The options were to just give the town to the mining company, or to try one last ditch effort to try and keep to survive, so the town can survive, you know. And after one council meeting, the council stayed back and they started brainstorming, trying to come up with ideas, and you know, blokes get together, the old drink starts, and the empty glasses gets higher. And in the middle of the night, like I think it was about 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock or something in the morning, somebody came up with this idea about getting tourists back into town, because they figured that tourism was the only way to really make any kind of money. What are we going to do to encourage tourists to come here? And somehow they got on the idea of making the town look like it was back in the 1920s when it first started. all of a sudden somebody thought, oh, it's probably not a bad idea, but how are we going to fund it? So then they started getting serious and they thought about the mining company. At that point they were leasing some of the caravan park to the mining company, and I thought, well, mining companies have got lots of money, so they went to them with a proposal basically saying, you know, want to upgrade the caravan park, we'll make an area just for you, you lease it, and we'll maintain it, that sort of thing. And the mining company said, yeah, good idea, so they made this really nice area. You'll see that in the upcoming video. And then another little spot for the travellers, and the travellers caravan park area is pretty neat too. And then they leased the rec centre to the mining company, started getting money coming back in again. They did the Wolfram Street upgrade, the facades and everything, made it look like old buildings and that sort of thing. Tourism started coming back. They built a swimming pool. They got they built lawn bowls and then put a roof over it. They've even got now aged care centre there as well, and the town has gone from just about, you know, dying and disappearing to not thriving, but it's living comfortably. And I think that's an amazing story. Now, mate, I don't remember what your name is, but I do remember that you're one of the blokes in this photo I'll put up. Thanks to your daughter for making that information available to us. She's clearly very proud of what you achieved, and you should be too. I mean, what you've done in town is just amazing. But anyway, that is the story of how the town got to the way it is now. Over the years, we've looked at a lot of churches and their stories, but I don't think any churches have travelled further than this one. This started life 860 kilometres east of Perth, that way, somewhere out that way. Cocklebiddy on the Nullarbor, where they were building the Trans-Australian Railway line across Australia. After it finished life there, it was dismantled piece by piece and then set up in Kalgoorlie for a short time, before the priests there discovered that Westonia here didn't have a church. So they pulled it apart again and brought it down here in 1918. Just next to the church, well, all the way around it actually, is a 48-hour campsite. So apart from a table and chairs, there's no other facilities here. So whatever you bring in, you need to take back out with you again. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Like, you can't miss it. Just a couple of kilometres from Westonia is the Edna May mine. Like I said at the beginning, a sandalwood cutter who was a part-time prospector found gold in the area, and like anywhere where they find gold, everybody else rushes in to find their fortune. In 1911, a new arrival to the area was Edmund Annear, and he put in a prospector's claim on a strike about a kilometre north of Westonia, and he named that strike the Edna May after one of his aunts. Now, it's probably fair to say that this mine has had more openings and closings than a hooker on the main street of town, but it is currently open at the moment. I've actually been in here a couple of times. A company I used to work for used to do mine site transfers for the workers on their swing shifts, and I've been in there, like I said, a couple of times myself. Just like the Kalgoorlie mines, mining started here underground till around 1948. Today it's all open pit mining,
The latest info I could find says that the pit is 1 kilometre long, 140 metres wide and 700 metres deep. In a report from the mine site webpage, it states that a planned stage 3 project was well into planning, but because of current world costs and the price for gold, the plan has been put on hold till a more economical time in the future. So I guess there is no plan to close down anytime soon.
I know I say it all the time, but Westonia, what an amazing place. And how about that museum? And how lucky were we to stumble across that woman and hear that story of the economic return of the town. You know, you don't sort of hear enough of that sort of thing. One last thing, the toilet dump is a couple of kilometres outside of town. There's no running water there, but there is a tank that has water in it, but just use that water sparingly. So that's it for this video. Next week we are going to another bush camp and going to check that one out. So if you don't want to miss that, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell next to it so it lets you know that I've uploaded the video, and hit the thumbs up on this video so that YouTube will show it to more viewers. But until next time, happy travels.